Thy abundant and just grace, it is so ordained that cows do not fly like pretty little birds. Now, my boy, from the various intelligensics enumerated by me, it remains for me to tell you about those terrestrial types whom the other beings call Zevrocrats and aristocrats, who are distinguished by the cognomens given to them such as Emir, Count, Khan, Prince, Melik, Baron, and so on. The consonance of which, for some reason or other, acts extremely pleasantly on that function of your favorites which is always very strongly expressed in them, which remains in them up to their very death, and which is called vanity. And I must frankly confess to you that it is very difficult to explain about these types there, not only in ordinary speech, but also in the language of our most wise Mullah Nasr ad-Din. The most we can say of them is that they are simply jokes of nature. Still, I must say that although both these types there among your favorites are called differently, yet in fact, these same aristocrats and Zevrocrats are similar in every respect and have exactly identical inner properties. Remember, I have already told you that there are on your planet, in various communities there exist two kinds, as is said there, of state organization. One is called a monarchic state organization, and the other a republican. In the communities where a republican state organization exists, these types are called Zevrocrats. But where a monarchic state organization exists, they are called aristocrats. Trying to give you at least some notion about these two terrestrial types, I think it will be best if I tell you about one of my embarrassments which occurred to me every time when, being on your planet, I accidentally happened to meet these misconceptions. At chance meetings with them, one thing chiefly surprised me. How could this kind of terrestrial three-brained type exist on your peculiar planet almost as long as the other three-brained beings there? Such a question was evoked in me by the beings there who belong to the caste of the bureaucrats. Yet, nevertheless, as regards them, one might still explain this to you, at least more or less. Although the series of experiencings in them is also very limited, yet, at any rate, they actually have them. They have them at least for every hour of the day and night. All the experiencings, however, of these aristocrats and Zevrocrats there, according to my observations, can be reduced to only 3 series. The first concerns the question of food. The second consists of the recollections associated with the former functionings of their sexual organs. And the third relates to the memories of their first nurse. And how the beings who have in all only 3 series of such experiencings could have the length of their existence the same as the other beings on the surface of your planet will always be for me an insoluble puzzle. It is said that about this same puzzling question, that is, about how these terrestrial types manage to exist on the surface of the planet, even the great cunning Lucifer once grew very thoughtful, and he grew so intensely thoughtful that all the hairs of the tip of his tail turned quite gray. About these mentioned, so to say, jokes of nature, it remains for me only to attempt to explain to you why such a sharp difference exists there in the names of one of the same kind of being. I said attempt, because I myself do not know exactly the cause of it, yet knowing the roots of both words from which these names were formed, I think I can presume with great certainty that it was obtained thanks to a certain custom existing there. I must first tell you that your favorites there, for some reason or other, delight in sometimes arranging what are called puppet shows. For some reason or other, it also pleases them that these same Zevrocrats or aristocrats should also take part in these puppet plays of theirs, and accordingly they drag them also into these puppet shows. As these beings there are in themselves already quite vacuous and consequently feeble, it becomes necessary during these puppet shows for other beings of the given community to support them. And simply from the method of their supporting, that is to say, by which arm they are supported, the difference in name was obtained. In the communities, namely, where monarchic state organizations exist, it has already long ago been the custom to support them with the right arm, and hence in these communities such types are called aristocrats. And in the communities in which a republican state organization exists, they are supported with the left arm, and hence they are called Zevrocrats. Concerning in general a similar difference in the names there of terrestrial beings, another remarkable saying of our wise Mullah Nasr ad-Din comes to mind, which he himself once told me personally. Once we spoke about the difference in the legal proceedings in the sentences passed between the Turkish and Persian qazi, that is, magistrates, and concerning the equality of their justice, he then said, my dear friend, is there such a thing anywhere on earth as a wise legal examination of men's guilt? The qazi are the same everywhere, only their names are different. In Persia they are called Persian, in Turkey Turkish, and that is just as it is everywhere on earth. Donkeys are alike, they are only differently called. For instance, the species of donkey breeding in the same Caucasus is called Karabagian, and precisely the same kind of donkey breeding in Turkestan is called Khorasanian. And this wise sentence of his was thereafter always imprinted in my brain, and during my existence on your planet, I always remembered it when I had any comparison to make. May his name be praised forever on that planet where he arose and was formed. And so, my boy, I repeat once more, if for some reason or other you have to be on their planet, bear in mind that the weakness about which I've told you is most strongly developed in the most ordinary intelligensics there, and in those who ordinarily spring from them and belong to one or another of the enumerated castes with the names ending in Krat. Well now, my boy, after this digression, which I've made for your practical benefit, let us return again to the serious question touched upon. I shall begin with the history promised you about how the Society of Terrestrial Beings, which had as its motto, "The earth is equally free for all," arose and fell, because the information about this will give you the possibility to understand well just about the first and chief cause why there on your planet this terrible process of periodic reciprocal destruction by these unfortunate three-brained beings of our great megalocosmos must already, almost inevitably proceed. And likewise, you will learn how the, so to say, local